There today on DEB Answers. Our question today, and this was a popular one, so I thought I'd go over this one. But the question here that I was asked was, what are some signs that a covert narcissist is starting to regret losing their previous partner, their previous supply, an ex-boyfriend, an ex-girlfriend, someone they're dating to, married, whatever it may be at the time. Regret. That isn't really a covert narc thing, or narcissists in general. It's not something they experience the way you or I experience regret. It's a completely different animal. So they do, however, have something in regret's place. And that is called compartmentalization. It's a big word. And basically what compartmentalization does there is it slots different things into different categories and like the name suggests, different compartments. So it's really a subconscious defense mechanism, a form of mild dissociation that separates opposing, incompatible, or traumatic thoughts to reduce mental discomfort. All about them, right? And it's really for the predator, not the prey. It's all to protect the predator and not the prey. That's really what it's all about. And in layman's terms, for the rest of us kind of out here, it translates really into victims physically being out of sight. Probably for, I'd say, 45 minutes to an hour will do it. So quite literally, they're out of mind, completely out of mind. It's like, when you park in another parking lot, your car is still there, right? Not to them. Another reason narcs can cheat so easily and just kind of wander home as if they've attended church for the day. So this would kind of fall in with that as well, that, how this all works. And really for an added bonus, if we're thinking about, how they think and how they do these things, they also have what is referred to as a lack of object permanence. This is an interesting thing. Typically, a lot of us get taught this, maybe in high school or whatnot if we take specialized courses, but most people don't really know. Object permanence is the understanding that an object will continue to exist even when they cannot be seen, heard, or touched. So if you have an object and put it over there, it's still there. It's still an object. It's still a thing. As a firm example of this, if we think back to, a lot of us have probably experienced this one. So some may recall playing peekaboo with a baby. And if you're playing with, say, a little one, and you throw, say, a fuzzy blanket over their favorite toy, they are going to generally be amazed that this toy disappeared. They're going to really think that it was magic. This toy just disappeared. They're going to be freaking out. But they're going to be even more amazed when you simply remove the blanket and it magically reappears. And you've done nothing except add a blanket and remove a blanket. You haven't touched anything. The object is still very much there. So basically what's happening with narcissists is there's a lack of object permanence. It's the developmental, cognitive, or neurological inability, meaning they cannot, to understand that objects or people, actual people, continue to actually exist when not immediately visible, felt, or even heard, like can't hear their voice. And, feel free to test this because you'll typically still be socializing, especially the covert at the beginning, you'll be socializing quite a bit. So if you go with them to groups or wherever they've kind of dragged you off to, right? What you can do here is you can kind of leave them there. You leave them in one of these small groups alone. Just leave them to their own devices. Trust me, they'll be happy, happy, happy. And you just unexpectedly and quickly, no texts, no calls at the window, no warning. You come back in about, let's say, 45 minutes to an hour, and you're going to get a genuine look of shock or surprise, like they're startled, or they're going to look extremely annoyed and angry. Like basically you're, a stranger who just came upon them, who just totally interrupted them. How dare they? How dare you? And that's because you are. To them, you are a stranger. They don't recognize you. They haven't got a clue why this stranger has come up and interrupted them. And really also that's also because when you first kind of meet one, you will automatically be slotted into a compartment, into a file folder, into a cabinet. And that's kind of where you are going to stay. That is your permanent place. That you're going to stay in that queue, in that particular cabinet, and that's where you're going to be. And if you remember all those secrets that you got to spill in Love Bomb? They were so interested and they wanted to know everything about you and la-di-da and all that. Well, it's going to be put into that compartment file, right? To solicit a reminder that you even existed. I know. Maybe it'll be a song that you love, a smell that you favor, a specific trauma from your youth. It could be a number of things, but typically that's where they'll go with that. But what it's going to really basically be here, whatever they can use later on down the line to awaken a memory that you even exist outside them at all, that you're even your own entity, that you're a real boy or girl. That's what's going to happen. And really, it's used mostly, I'd say 98% of the time, for later manipulation down the road, or future supply shortages when they're between. You are a toaster. You are a spare burner cell phone, an extra charging cord, a battery of sorts. Simply an object. You're an object that's to be utilized when you happen to come back to mind, okay? When they happen to a song or whatever kind of clues them in. So what they need in that, and what they might need in that moment that's happening, is a replacement or a temporary fix between supply, as kind of an energy boost, as a quick zap, right? And it sounds pretty devious and cold, doesn't it? You are a song. You're a song that they will hear on the radio at random, or a movie, a video that they're watching with, say, with a toxic scene, that maybe gleefully reminds them of a fun, of a fun side game, right? You're a side game. And you can entertain them. For now, they can peruse the file, they can order something off it, they can do whatever they like, right? And just use for now, just kind of as a temporary thing until they can kind of get a new client, really. Also, if you have ever thought to yourself, and I'm sure many have in these situations, how on earth after everything that's happened, and this can happen decades, years later, can they just wander back like nothing's happened at all, after treating you horrifically? So this kind of lines up with that too, and explains a little bit of that. Well, they're really in between, or even in the middle, most times when this is happening, of love bombing. Well, they're always in some kind of cycle, but love bombing many other strangers, usually online. Nothing more, nothing less is going on here. There's no regrets going on. And one of the signs, actually a few of the signs, or even indicators here, that a covert is targeting you for re-victimization. And keep in mind, just really keep in the forefront here, they do not care about, nor do they feel regret. The only regret they might have is they didn't do more damage, I think maybe is the only regret they might have, or didn't get more out of it. So some of the reasonings behind them doing this would be, if perhaps the new pony, the new unicorn that's supposed to solve everything yet again, has caught on, especially before the trauma bond, that'll make them look bad, so they need to re-energize to go back out and hunt. Another one would be the ex maybe speaking the truth after maybe being isolated. So they're losing control of that public narrative, and they need to reel that back in. Another one would be, or they might get publicly caught out for overlapping yet another situationship. People are actually waking up to that this is them. They're the common denominator. And if the universe throws you a bone here, maybe this is a little bit of schadenfreude. A new pony who will turn out to be exactly like them or worse than them. They want to be the victimizer and not the victim. So that would not work for them. So they'll go back to retrain supply. Remember those aforementioned songs? That special smell of your grandmother's cookies or her bread. In my case, my grandmother was jam. If you're a die-hard ex and you've kind of given them your heart, given them your soul, told them all these things, ready for another turn at that wheel of misfortune and games, you're up. You're in the queue. You're ready to roll. They're going to pull your file. And they're going to pull your file at their convenience, not yours. And you will be reused for as long as you keep coming back to the toxic well, as long as you keep adding yourself into the queue, as long as you keep allowing your file to be put back in the cabinet. At least when you're remembered for that hour or so in between all the other files that are in the cabinet. They're using, songs you like, smells you love, not that they love, not that they like. This even can be initiated or started subconsciously by you starting to recover. Maybe you're regaining your energy back, your physicality, your finances, whatever that may be, your career. Now they can have even like a bigger temporary energy feed on their way through to the next and the next and the next. So they're kind of leapfrogging. Coverts also do not ever forget any imagined, which is usually what it is, or perceived slights. That's like any other breed of narcissists. They are all like that. So not only will they recycle you for a nice fat energy feed and drain any resources you may have recouped. So perhaps your finances have recovered, perhaps your physicality has recovered, perhaps your confidence is recovering, right? What they're gonna do here is do a malign hoover. And coverts are famous for malign hoovers, and they'll do them for years if you allow it, years. And what they're doing here is they purposely will get you to reinvest, believing they care, believing they're lonely. A sobering thought here being that a covert has about 10 to 20 victims or targets on a permanent long-term rotation at all times in different groups that these groups do not know about, keeping all these groups separate from the others constantly. And so once they kind of rehook you back in and start re-wasting your time, re-wasting your energy, it's time really to keep you attached, to keep you in the cycle, to keep you in the file folder, to keep you in the queue, to keep you in the cabinet, however it sits with you, can be said. They can then ghost you to play elsewhere, or publicly replace you for a special punishment. I like that one. Especially if you've ever dared to walk away from the mistreatment and walk away from them before, I can almost guarantee that you will be targeted for this. And they will actually pretend to be back with you and the whole shenanigans, the whole thing. So the victim remains in kind of the static state of either just keeping the status quo to avoid things, or wanting closure, but it's not to a narcissist's benefit to give you closure, and you give yourself closure while we're at it. You are simply a pit stop, and you are more than a pit stop, for another energy drain and a fill up on the way to the next station, as kind of a temporary stopover to yet another new toy, another new unicorn that's going to solve it all, and it's never them kind of thing, right? But a song or a smell or a movie or someone mentioning your name, and it might not even be you, it's just a name that's the same as yours, can trigger this. So that's how far removed they are. And that is really what will set this manufactured reunion back into motion. It has nothing to do with regret. It has nothing to do with feeling bad about what they've done. It has nothing to do with taking accountability whatsoever. And also, it becomes more and more temporary the more times you allow it, the more time you allow yourself to be recued, recycled. Most glaringly as well, keeping in mind, coverts think if you're going to be weak and you are dumb enough to love someone like them, because this, narcissism is a condition of low self-esteem, not high, then it's on you. Especially if you keep coming back for more torture. It's the you guns, right? Then you deserve, and actually you're really asking for exactly what you are going to get. You deserve what you're getting and what you're going to get, and that's just how it is, because, well, if you're foolish enough, then that's your problem. And unfortunately, what you're going to get is a steadily turned up toxic version of what you've got the last million times before. It's the age-old saying of doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. This one applies to them a million times over. So that's the question and the answer for today. Feel free to follow me on my YouTube channel, which is in the bio for sure. I have a Facebook page. I think it's got over 4,000 on it now. Thank you, everyone. And my Cura Threads, Instagram, and X. Usually I'm on those ones the most, and I will for sure put my links in the comments, or at minimum they will be in the bio. If you go up under the pictures in the profiles, it'll show bios and links. I will see you all the next time on DEB Answers, and I hope everybody has a great day. Bye for now.